Welcome to the Liberty Collaborative, where the past meets the present in the fight for freedom. We uncover the roots of liberty, spotlight the people who shaped it, and explore what it takes to preserve it today. If you're ready to think deeper, stand stronger, and act with purpose, you're in the right place. Let's reclaim what matters most.
And good morning, everybody. You are listening to the Liberty Collaborative podcast. I'm one of the hosts here, Aaron Bowman. With me is Kate Carl, Chris Coyle, and Mike Hancock. Good morning, gentlemen. It feels like we haven't done this in a while, so it's
it's good to be back with you guys.
And today we are going to be talking faith, freedom, and the Constitution. So let's get started. All right, who wants to key this or start this off? Key it up here.
Well, Aaron, you mentioned a few words. Faith, freedom, and the Constitution. And we were talking about the fact that there is a growing trend around this country, indeed, efforts politically to create societies and communities and compounds and churches under Islamic control, including Sharia law. And it caused us to say, does Islam and all that it entails really fit with a society where individual liberty, freedom, and the rule of law, separation of, government and all these things, can these ever coexist?
It's a very good question. I for one, and this is just my take on it, that I'm not looking at it with the Sharia law aspect like we see in England where they have like 67 Sharia courts set up or whatever it is over there, but just looking at Islam as the religion. Yes, it's different than Christianity or Judaism or anything like that, but based on our Constitution, we're free to worship however we want. I think that someone that practices Islam should be allowed to do that in this country, and our Constitution allows for that. Where I think the problem starts to come from is when they start bringing their form of justice into the place, like you see in the UK with their Sharia courts, and you start seeing a real push to live a certain, of course, my dogs are going to start barking, to live.
He doesn't like what you're saying, Aaron.
No, I don't think so. Neither one of them do. But it's just one of those things where I kind of look at it very similar to like the practice of my belief as a Southern Baptist Christian, right? I'm free to do that in this country. People that practice Islam, I knew a lot of people that practice it while I worked in the prison. That was their religion of choice. And I think where we start to see the problem is where we start talking about the biblical form of punishment through their Sharia law. If I have that right, like we had that guy here in Connecticut, Chris, that ran for office, and he was talking about killing sodomites because he was basing stuff off the Old Testament. Well, we're not bringing back stoning. We're not killing people for sodomy. So there's that balance. And I think that balance is out of whack when it comes to the Sharia law stuff.
And Aaron, that fella lost in a primary election about 80-20, right?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he got crushed. He's gone. So,
but that's my take on it. And then, if you look at this, there is a huge issue in Dearborn, Michigan with this exact topic. You've got Jake Lane, who's been there. He is what the news call a extreme right activist and calling out Sharia law and people that are in positions of authority or elected positions, how they don't necessarily stand for the Constitution, but they stand for their religious beliefs in the Sharia law. I think we see that in Congress also. So it is a very interesting topic for sure. So I'll let you guys chime in.
Well, you're right. There's a separation between Islam and Sharia. Sharia is the form of government. It's not the faith, but it is totally the opposite of our Constitution. And so here's my thing. You're going to come to the United States and you're not going to assimilate. You're not going to abide by our Constitution. You're going to come with your own form of government and then try to impose that on us because we're infidels, right? So that's my problem. Do it. You can do it in Saudi Arabia, in your Arab countries, but you want to come over here and take over and trump our Constitution. So what I'm seeing happening is the threat is not just Sharia law. The threat is Sharia law and the Islamic faith. They're partnered with Marxism.
Right.
That's what Marxist wants to do. It's the same thing. So we're being attacked by Marxists, we've been attacked by Sharia law, and we've been attacked by the globalists. And all of them have two things that come and I see immediately. Number one, they don't want and can't stand our Constitution and can't and don't want our God. Those are the two things. And that's the fight.
Yeah, very well said. Good points. And I agree 100% on that. Yeah. Mike, what are your thoughts?
You're mute.
You're muted, Mike.
You're muted.
Or your mic's not hooked up.
Sit down.
Oh, Mike's back. He's got to leave.
Mike's going to pass. So, guys, I got to throw.
Sit.
Let me throw some sort of, I don't know, chaff out there in the air, shrapnel. But a lot of stuff's disconnecting. So, first of all, this idea of a basis of our country was that someone's faith, that which one spiritually wants to pray, houses of worship. You're right. That's kind of a piece of conduct that we have said in our country, you're free to go exercise that, okay? Well, over history, when I think it was the Mormons decided they were going to go further and run a community where they could all have multiple wives and they could do a bunch of stuff, I think historically the government said, no, we can't coexist as society where you start sort of creating your own set of rules, right? And we had the awful thing that happened in Texas years ago where that compound caught on fire. Remember, but they were arming themselves with guns and they had all sorts of rules. Our history is pretty clear. Now, we allow the Quakers to drive horse buggies around, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but they have running lights, guys. They have headlights. They have safety things. So there's some integration. Now here, you take this religion, and I'm certainly not an expert in the religions, but I don't recall a peaceful religion calling for the destruction and elimination of another religion, another race. And we keep tiptoeing around the fact that they do. Yeah. They want to get rid of Israel. They want to get rid of the United States. And they want to impose things like, if this religion is so good, why do women have to wear masks? Why are you throwing people off rooftops because they have a sexual orientation is different? So, folks, this tiptoeing around these issues to me is crazy. It doesn't fit here. Okay, Carl, to your point, and not only assimilate, you got to follow our laws.
Right.
And how a state could say we're going to have Sharia courts. If you want to have what's called a moot court, like you do in law school, where you're just pretending, have a great time. But the extent to which you're applying some sort of judicial stuff, I don't know, guys. The experiment's not working too well in England, as an example. So.
No, it is not.
Yeah. What I'd say, guys, is that, when you take a look at Islam, you take a look at Marxism, the thing that they do share in common is totalitarianism. It's authoritative. Yeah. And that's what this is all about. And while I'll say that in most religions, the vast majority of the people say that they're that religion, they really aren't big embracers, and they're not really willing to give their lives for what it is that they stand for. But I think that when you get to that small number, percentage-wise, of Islamists who are radicals, and I think the estimation is something like the number being the size of the United States, that becomes very scary. And so people will make the argument that, most Muslims are peace-loving and that sort of thing, which might be absolutely true, and I'm sure that it is. It's that minority, though, that ultimately can do extreme damage to everywhere in the world that they choose to target, and the United States just happens to be the biggest target on the map.
Mike, in 1930s, most Germans were very peaceful.
Yes.
Except for a group that happened to take power and exterminate Jews and almost rule the world.
Yeah.
So to your point, these violent minorities, and how big Mike, I heard, guys, that the radical Islam numbers like 300 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a rounding error. This is a big group of people and a lot of money flowing to take down what's in their way. We're not calling on their destruction. We're calling them, you want to be in your country, it's up to you. But when your very being is all about attacking and tearing down anyone in the world, buying drones and flying them, this to me is a fundamental that we just got to call out, right? Be honest.
Here's what's so scary about this whole thing. Here's what's scary about this whole thing. There's a lot of corruption in our government who are bleeding hearts to Sharia coming over here. They get paid a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
And so they won't come out and criticize. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. When you take a plane from Qatar, you're not gonna say too much about what they're doing. In Qatar, they practice the Sharia law. And so that type of corruption is at both parties.
Yeah,
we got to call them out.
Yeah.
It's not just the plane. You got the Muslim Brotherhood who are giving money to coffers of various candidates running for office. You're not going to say anything. But that's why the people got to become more involved and put people in office who represent our values and not going to compromise. That's the problem. We're sitting out. And isn't it interesting? The DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, and the Arab descent, the people who run for office, are also Marxists.
Weird how that happens.
And Mike and Aaron, Mike, you're always the word guy. Why is it that these people, just read about this person who just won in Michigan or so, where was it? Florida. Just won in Florida. Look at what she says.
The young lady?
Yeah, the young lady.
She crushed the guy.
Killed the mainstream guy, but look at how they camouflage what they do. When it was on your show, Kay Carl, you're on with Bannon, she sounds so innocuous. I'm a mother of 5, and I just want this. Why is it that these people get away with totally lying about what they stand for? Complete whitewash.
Chris, I don't think they're lying, Chris. It's in their platform.
Well,
right, but when they're on TV, they pretend.
Oh yeah. They'll say anything. That's right.
It's just like here, Aaron. Our legislature has, quote, affordable housing, when really what they're doing is taking away local control. And it's like communism. We're going to tell you what to do, how big it has to be, and destroy property values, but they call it affordable housing. Same thing, Mike. They're labeling all this stuff like, hey, this is good for your kid. It's poison.
Mike, I think you better reload because your screen is frozen here. Did you do that on purpose?
No, he's good. He's moving around.
Maybe on my end. Okay. Oh, okay. On my screen, you're frozen.
Okay. So the thing I look at here in Aurora, Colorado, we have what I would call progressives in the majority on the city council, and they position themselves as being for the working man and wanting to do things that make things better for the workers. But when you really look at what they're doing, while they're saying they want to do things for the worker, they're putting in place regulations and laws that actually run businesses out of the state. Put local businesses out of businesses. These are the people that want to have homeless people all over the street and put up free showers and toilets for them. Yet they support the working man. And they say they support the working man, while what they really support is driving the masses into homelessness. And watching the Nixon lady down in Florida, I'm sitting there, I'm listening to her, and I mean, there's this thing that they do with their voice. She was talking about the trans, what is it? The folks that dance around and stuff, the men and women, that stuff. Oh, it's just harmless. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. I take my kids, and she says it with that little twang in her voice is just supposedly so sincere, and you must be crazy if you think these things. And it's
Gaslight much?
oh my goodness.
And they also have that laugh right before they answer a question, or as they're talking, they have like a little laugh in there that tells you that it's not true. And those are all great points, Mike, because you see it right in New York. We have Zohran Mamdani down there. He's got free childcare, I think, if your kid's under 2 now. I watched an interview. It was like, I don't think it was 60 Minutes, NBC, something on TV. I was watching on YouTube, and he was talking about, oh, we're for the working person. We're for the working man. I don't think he said man because they can't tell you what a man or a woman is, but you get my point, right? And it's all about these working people, and we're for them. But you look at the DSA platform, the Democrat Socialists of America, they want to get rid of private business. They want governments to own everything. They want government control. They don't want anybody to actually have to work for anything. And just, hey, big government's going to take care of you. Don't worry about it. They want to get rid of ICE and everything else and law enforcement. And
so, Aaron, do you guys, K. Carl, you laugh. You've got to have some historical analogy to this. These people talk about the workers' work when most of them are in NGOs. Like Obama was a community organizer, or they're in these NGOs where they've gotten their money. Now we're learning usually stolen, fleeced. They're not, the people they say they support don't donate to this. Somehow they got this money from Soros, but they're worried about the workers and they don't have a clue what work really means, which means showing up and doing what someone else tells you got to do for your own money.
Being concerned about the workers, the same talking point that Lenin used, Chavez used. It's the same exact talking point to get the attention of the proletariat, and then around, you're going to screw the proletariat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's all about being a gateway to something bigger. You don't know what's coming because you don't do your homework. Yeah, it's concerned. Now we got to get to on this show. We got to give a solution. We paint this picture of doomsday if we don't get active, but what's the solution? We got to talk about that too when we get off the show.
Yeah.
We do have to do a show on that, and we're coming up close to our 20-minute mark. So I think that should be our next show next week, is solutions to what we're seeing.
Yeah, I love it.
Taking over and winning elections and bringing in the Sharia law mindset to Congress and local. I mean, just look at Dearborn, Michigan, and they have Islamic mayor. I think he's mayor, council member, and they're having roads named after people out of the Quran and stuff like that. It's very odd. And people speak up in town and say, we're not comfortable with this. And he goes, well, don't drive down that road then. Right. Like, that's their answer. Like, it's our way or the highway.
Right.
Your
Guess what? You don't see the rainbow flag flying anymore there, do you?
No, there is not. Well,
how do they reconcile that?
That's my next point. That was my next point. You're not going to see to come out of the closet under Sharia. You got some gonads.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen, man. They're gonna come after them first.
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron, my closing comment is this. I'm going to an event this evening over a town west of here called Ashford, where the guy running for Attorney General is speaking, and a guy named Tony Melio from our community is running for the 51st against a very nice guy, very nice Democrat who's known as a good guy, but he supports all these liberal things. Now, all this came about because of a wacko guy who wanted to literally execute people who had a different view of gender orientation, what have you. And guys, I think a fundamental of what we stand for is that we will stand against anyone who divides us on race, gender, or religion, that we stand against them. And I said, if you were very simple on how you approach life, that we are for people, what they stand for, what they say, what they do, their individual freedom. It's simple. What people, okay, Carl, maybe Michael and Aaron for next episode, if you lose your foundational values, it's like your compass doesn't work anymore. Right. Well, that sounds good, or that sounds good. You got to come back, okay, Carl, Michael, and Aaron, to the fundamental values that you run your family on, our country runs on, which is trusting each other's neighbors because you have rule of law, that there's things prudent. So anyway, I just tell people, go back to fundamentals, principles, and shared values, because Kekar, I learned it from you. Values unite, issues divide.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And to me, the answer, the solution, the very solution is parents, grandparents who understand liberty. We have to become better teachers of it to
Yes.
our children and pass that along, and also to our colleagues, people we know, because they're not getting it through the institutions. You're not going to get it through the media. You're not going to get it through academia. So those of us that get it, once we get it, we got to share it, and we got to become better at sharing. Is the issue? We have the message, but the problem, we're not persuasive.
Yeah.
And to me, the best way to be persuasive by leveraging what Frederick Douglass said against Karl Marx. That's the best way. He's the best teacher.
Yeah. Education is front and center in terms of how we lead ourselves out of this craziness. One of the things that we're doing here in Colorado is something that's called Colorado Citizenry. And we're doing a version of that in Arapahoe County, where Stephanie and I are. And so what we're starting to do is create these forums that actually educate people about the role of government, the proper role of government, to be able to present ideas that contrast what Frederick Douglass thought versus what Marx thought. Our first forum is coming up, I think, August the 23rd. And in that forum, what we're going to do is we're going to host a public safety forum where we're going to have the police chiefs and sheriffs from around the surrounding counties come together and allow people to ask them questions, to have them share with the people that attend what it is that they do in their jobs and how they work together to protect us. So we've got to actually get out in the community and start to educate people about what's going on.
Nice.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Well, I don't have much to close on. Just make sure you tune in next week on Thursday at 10:30, right? Yeah, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. And you can catch us on X, YouTube, or your favorite podcasting application. So with that, folks, I guess that's it for today. All right. And oh, wait, I almost forgot. Don't forget.
Don't eat me, Hillary Clinton.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us on the Liberty Collaborative. If today's episode lit a fire or gave you clarity, share it and be part of the movement. Subscribe, leave a review, and keep the conversation going. Until next time, stand